Waves released new plugin today called Cobalt Saphira. What is it? Let's check out. Hey, what's up? Sohta from Mixtures Hive here. So as I said in the intro, the Waves released this plugin called Cobalt Saphira. Seems like Cobalt is the name of the project or the series of plugins, and Saphira is the first of I don't know how many, but to come in the near future, hopefully. So what is this? This is the harmonics generator, overtones. What is it though? Well, so you know all the analog mixing versus digital mixing debate and talk, which sound better, sounds worse. To me, it's just different approach. The analog, it's like a drawing with lines, and digital is like drawing with dots. And what it used to be is that the dot that you're using was so big that you couldn't really do the precise work. But in this era, the dots are so precise that you can draw smooth pictures as you want. It may take a little more time or effort, but you can get there. And this plugin is one of those things. It's constructed by very precise dots to regenerate the smooth line that was drawn, or that could be drawn by the analog gear. So harmonics are, so series of harmonics I should say, are what adds richness to the sound. And this plugin gives you that. Not only that, it gives you different series of, like you get to pick and you have control over every single, things that you want to do to the harmonics. You know what? Rewind a little bit and let me talk about analog gear and digital. So the analog gear, there are a lot of engineers' favorite, say Neve 1073 or SSL, API, anything, EQ compressor, anything. But all these analog circuit has certain harmonics added on when you put the signal through it. So sometimes people say just putting the signal through it make it sound really good, right? So that's the harmonics, make it rich. Doesn't necessarily mean it's warmer or thicker, but richer. I can't think of any other words than rich. So this plugin right here has two sections, if you will. One on the side is called Edge, Even Harmonics. And the right side is a Warmth, Odd Harmonics. You're more of a musical person, you probably should just focus on Edge and Warmth. And if you're more of a physics and, more of a science type of a guy, you can think of an even and odd harmonics. When you come down here and when I click on this harmonics display, you can see what's odd harmonics and even harmonics. They have different modes for harmonics, and you can control whether to have. So let's use G because it has everything. So you can control whether to have only odd harmonics that tends to make everything sound warmer, or the even harmonics that gives you an edge or sharpness to the sound. Anyways, enough talking. I put this on the drums, and as Waves suggested, I use the drum bus. So on this drum bus, let me bypass this plugin first. And so all the drums, kick, snare, cymbals, overhead, they are all coming into this drum track. And there's no parallel processing. I mean, there was, but I muted it. So this is pure drums. So check this out. This is bypass. Okay, so this is not one of those dramatic change type of plugins. It's not like a distortion that you can, hear right away. So this is the breakdown of plugin, which you can also find on the Waves website. But left side here, right here, is the input. This shows you how much of an input you're getting. And you have even harmonics and odd harmonics, both send and return faders, and output. I'm going to get to the bottom part later. But send and return, what is it? I can say that is the coloration on the left side. So how much of this harmonic sound, how much signal you're sending into this device to get that effect. And return is how much of the total output volume that you want from this unit here. The good way of explaining this is the compressor. Send is how much you're putting into the compression, which will decide how much compression you're getting, and return is how much output you're getting from the compressor. Same thing for warmth. I can turn on and off for both one at a time, and that's that. So let me put these through. I'm gonna put this to the unity first, so no sends, and I'm gonna give a 50 return for both worms, and I'm gonna add those in slowly. So check this out. So right here, when I get to about 10, 11 on edge, started hearing this grit on the lower cymbal sound and also the top kick and the snare sound. By the way, this is obviously too much to actually add on to the music, so I'm going to back off. But this is how I usually work. Get to the point where it's a little too much and back off. So let me go back to 12 one more time. Okay, so I stopped about where I stopped hearing the obvious distortion. Next, let's move to the warmth. So the odd harmonics didn't give me that much of noticeable distortion. I did hear some on the kick, but I went to the point that I thought I heard it and backed it up. So just with these faders playing, actually, yeah, just two faders made this change. So again, bypassed and in. I think that's because of this edge. It almost sounded that like it's wider now. Alright, now to the bottom part. Harmonics modes, as I showed a little bit earlier. So these are to decide how much or how many of the overtone series you want to hear. So for example, A has only 1, 2, 3, 4. This is original, the fundamental. B has a little more, but amount of decrease is more, seems like. And C only has 2. D, all of them, but very quietly. E, more even, less odd, so on forth. So A, B, and D, and E are like warmth and nice, almost like a tape saturation type of harmonics when you need it. And F and G are when you need more aggressive sound. C is for cleaner sound because there are only 2 harmonics, so less effect, like less harmonics, less richness you hear, but a little bit that you can add. You can EQ the edge and warmth individually. So if you don't want this edginess on the kick drum, for example, you can cut the low. Same thing for the warmth. If you want the cymbal to get or stay not warm, it's kind of a weird way to say it, but then you can roll off the high so that it won't affect the cymbal. Alright, so that's the EQ section and harmonics mode, and then tape over here to the left bottom. This is something to alter the sound. Usually, for harmonics or anything, you tend to get bored if you keep hearing the same thing over and over again. And this tape gives it a little twist to these harmonics. What is it? Well, it's best to play it than to explain. And I'm gonna put in the extreme setting so you can hear this. Did you hear that? The cymbal, when you focus on the cymbal, it sounds like it's almost shaking. One more time. Yeah, almost sounds like, you know, like the old stretched out tape when you play it, or the players out of battery that is slowing down and tape speed is not, you know, flat and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's happening. So let's back off the depth. And actually, I went through all of them one at a time, and about 15 worked the best. So I didn't. So that's again the same process. I went to the point where I hear too much of it, then backed off a little bit. So the final speed that I picked was 15, and depth was about 40, I think I had. So gain bypass to the in. So check this out. Okay, another way that they suggested was to put in the stereo bus. So be aware this track is not mixed. I mean, I finished mixing, but I opened up the original unmixed track. So this is pure, you know, the state that producer got the files to me. So let's try this on the stereo bus. Oh, by the way, the Waves is always good at putting the preset. So head it to load and try to find what's really good. So A is a good place to start right now. Set to seems like the default, and B is empty. So I'm gonna load the master bus to set up B. Let's say awesome. Why not, right? And let's see. Oh, first bypassed. With yep, it's richer. Let's tweak something right now. When I look at this, I see this is adding a lot edge to the low end or mid low, and a lot of brightness, or actually warmth to the brighter side. Interesting. And it's using Harmonics Mode B. So one more time. Sounds awesome. This one instance is giving me about, I don't know, 5-6%, which isn't horrible, but I can't really put this on every single tracks. So as Wave suggested, I think the best idea is to put on different stems. So I'm probably gonna put in the drum stems, music stems, and the bass stems, probably in the master bus. I've been using Wave's non-linear summing plugins on many tracks, so this is something that can replace that because I get more control over those harmonics. Alright, that's about it. If you have any questions or requests, leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.